Daily Beast wrote this article about the Musk thing, and and it was posted a lot of people which I agree.
Was this the one that it was
big yikes?
Big
my
yikes!
man.
Oh my god! Holy fuck! I laughed so hard that was like the possibly like lamest fucking headline. The big yikes, and like not tongue in cheek. Big yikes.
Big
real
fucking yikes.
Big
my man.
yikes! Like that's still in that guy's vocabulary. You're like a fucking journalist who talks like you're a fucking 14-year-old.
That's my sketch that I've been talking about. Is I'm trans internet. So in my real life, I'm a 35-year-old white man, but on the internet, I'm a 14-year-old black girl. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's funny.
Yes, Queen.
Big yikes.
That is a big yikes.
I
my
can't
man.
even say that without sounding
Say
like
it again
gay.
for louder for the people in the back.
Big yikes.
Yeah, I guess it's when they say NPC, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. That is.
I'll just read a few sentences of what they said. They go, the announcement of Elon Musk was going to host Saturday Night Live seemed to be starting off to be odd in its face. That's exactly how the publicity stunts are supposed to feel, having a famous person. So what they're saying is it was odd having a famous person hosting as opposed to like an actor. And I mean, whatever, their whole model is having famous people. But the parallel that springs to mind easily is Donald Trump, who appeared on Saturday Night Live in 2015 episode that flattered the then presidential candidate as in on the joke, so there a couple sentences in. And the big yikes was because of Trump.
Because of Trump. Back to Trump. They go, hey, remember Trump?
It's bad because of Trump. Oh, they loved it. So it's kind of I don't know if you saw Shane's sketch. I thought that was really funny.
It was fantastic. I watched it again actually yesterday.
But it was that was the perfect example. Is like what they said. They go, SNL. They're basically like, well, they had Trump on, but like it wasn't venomous enough. Mm-hmm. It's like you can't like goof around with them. Whereas Alec Baldwin, they like it when Alec Baldwin does Trump because Alec Baldwin puts on Trump and then looks in the mirror like, fuck you.
You're right. Yeah,
He's mad. He puts on the outfit and he gets mad at himself. Like, look at you piece of fucking shit. And then he comes back. He goes, I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I'm stupid. I'm a stupid friggin' idiot.
I'm a dumb idiot.
That's Alec Baldwin's Trump.
I'm a dumb idiot.
I'm a fucking idiot.
I'm orange.
I'm orange. I'm a dumb idiot.
Couldn't be more orange.
Yeah, that was the gist of it. So that's what they want. But
Cheeto.
I am a Cheeto.
I'm a dumb Cheeto.
Do you think that's what he practices in the mirror? I am a dumb Cheeto.
I'm a dumb Cheeto.
That's Alec Baldwin practices Trump. He gets a bag of Cheetos and then he puts them on the ground. He just stares at it. That's what he does. He practices by just staring at a Cheeto. What would I do if I was you?
What would I do? I'm a dumb Cheeto.
I'm a dumb Cheeto. He goes. So they said, what makes Musk different are the ways in which he annoys and the causes to which he puts in his power. Musk hardly needs SNL's megaphone. He spends his life promoting things like alternative currencies and crypto series. This is hardly SNL's worst booking offense of this season, after ditching the musical guest Morgan Wallen in October over flouting his conspiracy theories. So I think probably that guy deserves to die, if you were to ask me.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
But so the one thing, and this is, the classic whatever, but it is, you kind of get into that thing where, it becomes just the story where it's almost a fake outrage where, people are mad that Musk's on, but they're, who really gives a shit? Mm-hmm. And then everyone writes articles and talks about how they're mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the cycle of that. And then, but there were a lot of, so I don't know if you saw the Tony Hinchcliffe thing recently.
Oh, I did.
So, and we sort of talked about it a little bit, but, basically he was doing his, roast shows or whatever.
I don't know that was can you confirm?
No, his shows are kind of like roast shows.
Because that's the thing. I looked into that because I was trying to like find the context of it. And it seemed like it was just like a fucking Austin, like.
All right. So.
Anyways.
Yeah. And he's getting dragged or whatever. And
that's a big yikes from Daily Beast.
That Tony Hinchcliffe thing was a big yikes from Daily Beast.
How many yikes is out of 10
and
from the Daily Beast? On the yikes-o-meter, it's a big yikes.
I was thinking with the Hinchcliffe thing, because I was, talking about it with my chick and people like that. And it's starting to feel to me like, because, okay, just to say what he did, I go, listen, if you take any comedian that's, done dissonant things, you can find, there is a room in Toronto called the Danger Room where people of all races, all genders would go up and they say the most horrid things. So let's say, and the more that they were, the more that it was unexpected, the funnier. Like, let's say you went on and you were saying,
I will say though,
this.
Yeah.
Let's say you were on and saying something,
of course.
And then there was some tiny girl that came on after you and she was like, give it up for that stupid fucking Jew. Like, that would kill. And it just because it was unexpected.
Jay Martin brought me up once at fucking when I was starting comedy at a regular show. Pat McDonald was like, bring him up, and he goes, Danny the Kike. I was like,
yeah, really?
Yeah, I was like, okay.
And you go and you said, I asked you to bring me up as Kike, a big fan.
It was an all black room, and I was like, should I call him the N-word right now?
Do I have the guts?
Yeah, I was like,
did you have the stones?
I was like a year into comedy. I was like,
And then, all
right.
And then there's this thing where it kind of becomes the conversation is, they go, well, this is, edgy people are just trying to, use edginess to say racism or whatever, right? And their thing is I'm trying to be funny. And you go, some people, those things are hard to pull off. You know what I mean? If you're going to go out and, like Louis when he said the N-word in his bits or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Those are hard bits to pull. It's almost expert level. And so there is a bit of all of these things. And to me, it's so complicated that it's almost impossible. Like even some comics, I feel like it's impossible to like discuss the nuance, but it really felt like to me trying to explain what's going on is the equivalent of, okay, so you know how like Tarantino says the N-word in all his movies, right? And everyone sort of accepts that, okay, he's trying to shock people in some sense, and that's not the whole movie, but obviously there was a jarring effect to the amount that he uses it, right?
Yeah.
And everyone sort of accepts it in that context, right? But I feel like, I feel like everyone's so disconnected. It would be the equivalent of if I made a movie where a girl's getting beat up and raped or whatever, right? And you're filming it, and then someone in the crew took their phone out and filmed this. They go, Ryan Long just paid a guy to pretend to beat up and rape a girl so he can film it and put it. And I'm out there being like, no, there's this thing called a movie.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're like, no, there's this thing called a movie, and in the context of that, other people are watching, and you go, so what? So you want other people to watch you make this? And you go, well, yes, but it's like there's art to it. You go, that's art? Or you just are paying people as an excuse so you can watch a girl get raped and you can film it. And you go, no, it's like the people are so far removed from the context of, what these things are.
I will agree
that
the context
feels like that.
Obviously, and it's like, everybody who's in this world is always like context matters. I will say though, like if it's true that it was, because like there's one thing at a Danger Room type show. If that was a regular show, and like I've seen that happen, like you've seen it at regular shows. It's just like, I don't know. I've seen like open micers do that. You don't usually see someone like him do it, but like to watch it, you're like, I don't know. It seems crazy.
Again, that's why it's like, it's hard for me to
literally physically made me cringe.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not fucking judging. The idea is, and then everyone says, well, I'm okay with, those whatever kind of jokes as long as they're funny, and you go, okay, who gets to decide that? And I think the only
100%
the
agree.
Closest you could get, and everyone thinks, well, me, this wasn't. I'm fine with any kind of jokes as long as it's, because everyone has their, if you're from fucking wherever, abortion jokes is the the cardinal thing you can't say, right? And you go, okay, everyone has their version of that, and they go, I'm okay with it as long as it's funny, but I get to decide what's funny. At the very least, the audience gets to decide.
True, yes. And also, I think he made a cardinal sin. I don't know their relationship too much, but my guess is he was like treated that dude like, he's like, I'm going to rip on him.
He
like
thought
I
they were
rip
buddies,
on like a buddies. And that guy was like, yeah, we're not friends. And I did not like that. And I'm going to fuck, and I'm going to go blow you up. Cause you're like, he's like, I didn't appreciate that. I don't like that. Like,
it could have been either, right? It could have been that they were
well,
friends.
some people kept being
Who
like,
the fuck
it's like, why would he post this unless he
people.
liked it? But I'm like, I looked at the comments, it's like from the looks of that dude, it's like, he wasn't doing this because he was like, oh, this is my buddy. And he said something funny. He was like,
no,
that's what
putting him on blast.
That's what I'm saying. Some people were like commenting, being like, well, maybe he's posting
that's
it because
not the case.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm saying like that guy really like didn't like it. And I think it's within his right to like, I mean, it's stupid in the sense that he's
listen,
going to.
I don't know these people. So these are all options. To your point.
Yeah.
If the audience was cracking up laughing, well, then is it fine? You're like assuming that like he didn't kill that night. Like, we don't know.
I mean, they did like people were laughing at it. Yeah.
So there you go. Right.
Yeah.
That's my point. I go, I don't fucking know. And then you could say, well, everyone in the audience is just racist. And that's where I always have this conversation. I go, they're not though.
Yeah.
You go to audiences, if they feel like you're being too mean, most of them pull back and they go,
sure.
No one likes to see anyone bullied. So maybe they've, and that's the difference of, kind of doing this thing and developing a rapport
and also that
saying these.
Twitter has basically become comedy HR. There is
Twitter's comedy
there is
HR.
no HR, so you're like, we're gonna let literally Twitter decide. You go, I have a workplace grievance, but my workplace is not an actual workplace.
Twitter's comedy HR.
So they go, look, here's my grievance. Like this happened at what I deem to be my work, even though it's like not even a part-time job.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I deem this to have happened at work. Here's my grievance. And then,
Correct.
they let people decide.
So,
and then the problem is, and obviously is like, there's going to now be literally like, the phone calls to every place that he works, like clubs, people potentially picketing.
Yeah.
But, and another thing I'll say, because I say this all the time, this will be gone in 2 weeks.
I wonder if you're right on this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. But and again, it's like, it's hard to say when you're not
because he's not
there,
Michael
'cause
Richards.
There's so many things that you can fucking, again, like anything that you take out of and you just put it on the internet and that thing. I mean, if you take roasts, right? Like all the horrible things that people said, so many of those clips you could take and I just feel like it's to point fingers at that. You go, everyone has their version of that.
Yeah, but
somewhere.
the thing with roast is if you were in a roast battle and you're like, hey, this person said this to me, I'm putting them on blast, people would all be like, yeah, but you were in a roast. You're posting a video of you at your own
My point is, I always feel like whenever I talk about it with anyone, I'm talking about the wrong thing. It's kind of, if it's like there's 5 different conversations, like, well, are the jokes good if they're funny? And it's like, well, it's that old Patrice O'Neill thing that good jokes and bad jokes come from the same place, and it was the attempt that matters.
Yeah,
and that's
for sure.
why motive laws, exist in law, because
Yeah.
motive, of course, matters.
Yeah, intent obviously matters.
And then on top of that, who gets to decide what's funny? And then on top of that,
Yeah, I mean,
But- and
again,
again-
the comedy thing that's a tough one because there aren't like legal precedents that can be set for comedy.
no, of
where
course
you say,
not. And
hey,
there
this
shouldn't
guy got
be, 'cause
away
it
with
wouldn't
this
be
and
fun
this
to
guy
do
got away
anymore
with
either.
that.
And
Like
but-
his fans are not going to turn their back on him because of this.
I understand. Oh, so you're kind of the thing. It's not that big a deal. I guess.
I'm of the not that big of a
overlying point that I'm trying to make is more so than ever. And I'm sure we talk about this a lot, but there is such a disconnect. And that was the first thing you said to me. It was like, it would be it would be hard to justify this to a normal person. But I do think if you are in comedy the same way that I was like saying the movie analogy, you would understand that everyone has some version of that, and that maybe for you that's the worst thing that you could say.
Yeah,
maybe
but I don't
for someone
think
else there's something.
I don't
else
think
that's the
everybody
worst thing
does
that
have
could
some
someone-
version of that, like that.
We did the Danger Room in Toronto.
Danger Room, but
Every
that's-
person who so
Yeah.
everyone in the scene did that show.
I've never been to any
Okay,
city
so-
that had a
okay,
show like
you're
that,
better than
though.
everyone, but
I'm not. I did the Danger Room. I'm saying not every city has a Danger Room. As far as I know, no city had a Danger
but
Room.
my point would be if you look at the little Toronto comedy scene.
Yeah.
Now you go, okay, so 80 people, everyone who's done that show has some version of, that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not the exact same thing, but everyone who did that show or whatever.
Had something that people could
There was all
frame
sorts of liberals and all sorts of,
course.
women and people of color that all went there and they go, oh, the thing here is like you try to make fun of the last guy with something really rude, especially the
And
host.
say the craziest
and that's kind of
shit.
what it is.
Yeah.
And the more
I mean, Dan
timid you are-
Gyrie specifically has said shit 50 million times worse than whatever Tony Hinchcliffe said.
And I'm sure he's heard a million people. Artie Lang's probably said things worse than that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's all I'm saying. And it's hard to explain that to anyone common. And that's why I bring it back to my movie thing, where it really, it's like someone's never seen a rape in a movie and you're trying to explain to them why you're filming this. Like, no, it's part of that's what it feels like to me when you're having these conversations sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I just mean whatever. If it's on Twitter, like once it gets to TMZ, you're like, it's out of explaining this. You're past like being able to explain this to be like, look, no, it's like even if it was a Danger Room thing where it's like, that's the show. And if it gets on TMZ, they're framing it in the context of them getting the most clicks.
Everyone frames it however they want
right.
to
And
frame
then
it.
it's just over. But again, I'll still go with this will be over in 2 weeks.